A very good evening. Welcome to State of Business on our television. I'm Ashin Sani Veerasinghe. Let's have a look at the headlines for today. IMF comments over the normalizing Sri Lankan market conditions. Sri Lankan economy accelerates to 3.7% in the first quarter of 2019 compared to 1.8% recorded in the last quarter of 2018, the Treasury announces. News in detail. Assistant Director at the Communication Department of the International Monetary Fund, Camilla Anderson, says the IMF is supporting a data-dependent approach to managing interest rates and monetary policy in Sri Lanka. IMF Assistant Director Camilla Anderson, responding to a question during an IMF press briefing in Washington last Thursday, reminded the IMF's executive board completed the fifth review of Sri Lanka's $1.5 billion loan under the Extended Fund Facility and so far has disbursed $164 million on the 13th of May.
We would note that market conditions in Sri Lanka are normalizing, and indeed on June 24th, the country successfully tapped the international bond market for $2 billion at 5 and 10-year maturities, and that issuance was well oversubscribed. We would say that the Central Bank of Sri Lanka should continue to follow a prudent data-dependent approach, adjusting policy rates warranted by evolving macroeconomic conditions. We are not aware of any new oil-backed loans that would have an impact on debt sustainability, and the government has also confirmed that it's disclosing all these loans to the IMF, and they have actually also sent a report to Parliament to that effect on the nature, the use of these loans. The program doesn't allow for any new external debt to be contracted by the government.
The Sri Lanka economy accelerated 3.7% in the first quarter of 2019 compared to 1.8% recorded in the last quarter of 2018. However, real GDP growth moderated in the first quarter of 2019 compared to 4% recorded in the same quarter of 2018. The Finance Ministry announced yesterday releasing its mid-year report on the government finances. The Finance Ministry's report on government finances for the first half of the year, issued on the 30th June, said that the growth was supported mainly by the expansion of agriculture activities, which recorded a growth of 5.5%. Construction activities with a growth of 6.9% together with the expansion of wholesale and retail trade and financial services. Industry and service activities grew by 3% and 4.1% respectively in the first quarter of 2019. The report also forecasts that the economy is expected to rebound in the remaining quarters of 2019 with policy measures taken to restore normalcy in the economy aftermath of the Easter Sunday attack. The inflation increased to 3.5% in May 2019 from 2.1% in May 2018. The inflation showed an increasing trend in the first 5 months of 2019 and it accelerated to 3.5% in May 2019 from 1.2% in January 2019 due to the lagged effect of the sharp depreciation of the rupee in 2018. However, the inflation is expected to remain at 4 to 6% range during the year and the increase of the recent uptick will be temporary, says the report. The change in NCPI measured on an annual average decline notably to 2% in May 2019 from 5.7% in May 2018. The Finance Minister declared that the salary increment and other allowances for public servants and government pensioners recommended by the Budget Proposals 2019 are effective from today. Thus, all public servants will receive an additional monthly allowance of 2,500 rupees, while income anomalies of some 500,000 pensioners will be removed from this month. The pension of the public servants who retired before December 31st, 2015 will be increased by a minimum sum of 2,800 rupees and a maximum sum of 20,000 rupees. Meanwhile, the allowances for security force including commando allowance, uniform allowance, rent allowance, good conduct allowance of the armed forces, some of which had not been increased for over 20 years, will be increased from today. Accordingly, approval was given recently to increase the monthly ration quota for the officers up to 23,231 rupees and for the members of the other ranks up to 19,350 rupees. Also, the commando allowances for the members in parallel ranks of the Sri Lanka Army, Sri Lanka Navy and Sri Lanka Air Force will be increased up to 5,000 rupees from 1,000 rupees effective from today. Meanwhile, the proposal to increase the monthly allowance for the differently able to 5,000 rupees from 3,000 rupees will also be implemented from today. Member of Parliament Vasudeva Nanayakkara, addressing a media briefing organised by the Socialist Alliance in Colombo today, highlighted that the government is seeking foreign assistance to postpone the elections through the Status of Forces Agreement and the Acquisition and Cross-Services Agreement, which are commonly known as SOFA and AXA agreements. Thus, members of the Socialist Alliance are in the view that AXA and SOFA agreements are not beneficial for the country and that such agreements will tarnish the sovereignty of Sri Lanka. Member of Parliament Vasudeva Nanayakkara highlighted that these agreements are brought in place by the government as a way to divert the public attention from the discourse around delayed elections. MP Nanayakkara also mentioned that the government aims to seek dependency of foreign forces in order to postpone the elections and to assist their exploitative measures. However, addressing a media briefing last week, Finance Minister Mangala Samaraweera stressed that both the agreements are totally beneficial to Sri Lanka. Minister Samaraweera also emphasized that America is the single biggest trading partner of the country, which accounts for exports over 3,000 million US dollars out of a total of 11,666 million US dollars, and the circulation of fake news against America could hinder the massive development. Stay tuned for more news after this short break. Welcome back after the break. During a welcome ceremony of the high-profile Thai tourism delegation arrived in Sri Lanka, Tourism Development Minister John Amaratunga highlighted that the government intends to issue free on-arrival visas to Thai travellers to Sri Lanka in order to attract more visitors from Thailand. Meanwhile, speaking at the event, Deputy Governor of Tourism Association of Thailand, Chattan Kundarana Ayudhya, guaranteed country's assurance to assist Sri Lanka in times of adversity and reiterated to send more tourists from Thailand to Sri Lanka.
And especially in terms of Buddhism, we have a strong bond, ladies and gentlemen. And I believe that all of these ties will bode us well as we move together. In happy times, in sad times, in challenging times, we are always together. And that is really important because no one in the world can exist alone. It's hand in hand, and whatever experience, whatever knowledge we can impart right now, today, tomorrow, and in the future, please rest assured we are here for you, Sri Lanka. And we'll try to send more Thai tourists to here, to wonderful Sri Lanka. There's so many things to see and do. And this is really a good start to making things happen. Like I told the meeting before with Mr. Gomez and the team, the core values of this country are still very much intact and should be promoted.
A memorandum of understanding between the Lakshman Kadragama Institute of International Relations and the Raul Roa Garcia Institute of International Relations of the Ministry of Foreign Affairs of Cuba was signed recently. State Minister of Foreign Affairs Vasantha Senanayake and First Deputy Minister of Foreign Affairs of Cuba, Marcelino Medina, signed the agreement representing the two parties. State Minister of Foreign Affairs Vasantha Senanayake signed the MOU during his official visit to Republic of Cuba from 25th to 29th June in commemorating the 60th anniversary of the establishment of diplomatic relations between Sri Lanka and Cuba. Thus, the signed MOU is expected to develop the academic and scholastic cooperation and research initiatives between the two institutes. Subsequently, the bilateral discussions between State Minister of Foreign Affairs and his counterpart, First Deputy Minister of Foreign Affairs, focused on issues of mutual interest, identifying priority areas for more robust sectoral cooperation. During the visit, State Minister Senanayake also held meetings related to trade and commercial ties between the two countries. At an interactive roundtable discussion at the Havana Chamber of Commerce with Sri Lankan entrepreneurs, the State Minister stressed the importance of exploring and identifying the potential in Cuban market for new products. Addressing the induction ceremony as the newly appointed chairman of the Ceylon Chamber of Commerce, Dr. Hans Vijay Surya stressed that the chamber is looking forward for the setting and execution of progressive fiscal and monetary policies by government along with transparency, meritocracy and eradication of corruption at a fundamental and structural level. Thus, Dr. Vijay Surya, who is the Corporate Executive Vice President and Regional Chief Executive of Excita Group Berhad, succeeded veteran banker Rajendra Tyagaraja as the Ceylon Chamber's chairperson. Moreover, speaking at the event, Dr. Vijay Surya also highlighted the key transformational trends Sri Lanka should leverage in order to embrace the exponential changing future. The ethos of inclusion and the thesis of inclusive capitalism, the mega trends around the fourth industrial revolution, the power of ecosystems and the acceleration of pervasive globalization are those four strategies which Sri Lanka can focus on. Meanwhile, Group Managing Director of Sunshine Holdings, Wish Govindasamy, was appointed as the Vice Chairperson, and the partner and the Head of Tax Services of Ernst & Young, Duminda Hulangamua, was appointed as the Deputy Vice Chairperson of the year 2019-2020. Asian Development Bank President Takehiko Nakao handed a report on an ADB project in Sri Lanka financed by the Women Entrepreneurs Finance Initiative to Japan Prime Minister Shinzo Abe at the Leaders Special Event on Women's Empowerment at the Osaka G20 Summit on June 29. Accordingly, ADB has rendered its assistance to the government of Sri Lanka to ameliorate women's entrepreneurship through the Small and Medium-Sized Enterprises Line for Credit project. In April 2018, ADB received a grant of $12.6 million from We5, which allowed the project to expand its gender-related impacts through access to finance, training, and mentorship for women-owned or led SMEs. So far, 323 women-led SMEs employing 3,934 people have financially benefited from the We5 grant. Moreover, in April 2019, ADB received a We5 grant of over $20 million to support women's entrepreneurship in Vietnam and small island countries in the Pacific. ADB invests in women's entrepreneurship in Asia and the Pacific in commitment to advancing women's economic empowerment, which is one of the operational priorities of its newly adopted Strategy 2030. ADB also expects that 75% of all its projects will promote gender equality by 2030. We'll be back after a short break. Welcome back after the break. Trading at Colombo Stock Exchange ended on a positive note today. The all-share price index gained 4.39 points to close at 5,376.67 and the S&P SL 20 gained 8.51 points to close at 2,505. The turnover was 252 million rupees with over 36 million shares were traded. Up next are forex rates. That's all the news for today. Join us tomorrow at the same time. Until then, take care. Good night.